Hey, this is Pastor Steele.
And it's me, Pastor Kelley.
Can you believe together for 33 years
Yes.
and count children for? So God has been good.
Yes. Off with each other, and we had some pretty interesting conversations this morning. And,
But like they say, like the Word of God says, actually, laughter is medicine to the soul.
Yeah. It took us a long time to learn how to laugh. I think I was really a serious early wife and mom, and I think I took myself very seriously, or I was really uptight. Would you think?
Very uptight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one day my husband says, I thought I was funny all the time, but one day my husband looked at me and goes, "You're actually funny today." And how many years ago was that?
Probably 6 years ago. It's been about 6 years. Yeah.
So before that, I was just
Because I think, too, when we were raising the kids, I think that was our primary focus. And then, so our youngest is 25, so you figure he was like 18, 19 when you started getting funny. Because that's when she was like, I'm ready for everybody to be out the house.
How do we have fun in our marriage?
What does quality time look like? I think we're good at that, especially now that we don't have any kids living at home. We're always together. We'll hang out in the backyard. We'll hang out in our bed on our phones.
Now, let me just say, we love doing that. I love laying by him, looking at Instagram and sending each other funny videos. And then we get mad if they don't watch the videos we just sent them. And so he always says, "You never watch my videos." I'm like, "You don't watch my videos." So, but we really enjoy doing that.
We do. And that's part of our quality time. And then, of course,
how do we have fun?
We do our date nights every Friday. And here lately, we'll even sneak in an extra day or two in some weeks.
Well, I would say this. I've been asking my husband to do something different with me. Like, I really want to play pickleball. And, I'm on this big health journey, so I'm trying to do things more active. I'd like to go go-kart racing.
Wow. That's the first I've heard of that.
I know.
I'm still trying to process the pickleball, which we're going to do here real soon. But
I think that would be fun.
Okay.
I think I'd like to. We went to a really cool place last week that was new. That was really nice in Scottsdale.
Oh yeah, we sure did.
That was a good time.
Yeah, that was quality time.
We have fun. We like to sit in places and look
People
and laugh
watch.
at people. Yes, we really enjoy that.
And we play a game like we'll see somebody that looks like somebody at the church, and our family will say that, "Oh, that's blah blah blah,"
right?
And we'll either say yay or nay,
and we give each other points.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. People might think we have deep conversations about Jesus. No, we're really just making fun of the people we're watching and trying to come up with the life, make up what they're doing. Like, oh, do you think he's with his side chick, or is that really his wife? We play those games.
My God, so
it's fun.
So that's what we do during our quality time.
We also read the Bible.
Sure.
Together.
Absolutely.
We talk about the Word. We debate the Word. What else do we do that's fun, babe? We like to when football starts, and I'm counting down the days for that. I love watching a good football game.
Yeah.
I would love watching them all.
Yeah, that's coming August, preseason.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're going to look good this year. We, as in the Steelers.
We upgraded our quarterback department and other areas. We had a great draft, so we're excited about
that
24 season.
But pickleball, go-kart racing.
Those are on our radar.
And I really want to be in a hot air balloon one day.
That I'm not doing. I've already let her know. She can do that by herself. Yeah, good luck with that.
Every time there's a hot air balloon crash on Instagram, he sends it to me.
Right.
And tells me that's why he won't go.
That's right.
I thought God did not give us a spirit of fear.
He has, but he's given me a spirit of not being up in the air like that. Yeah, I'm not taking my chances. I'd rather take my chances on the airplane. So.
All right, that's what we do for fun.
That's it.
Yeah. Why does no one teach us how to fight fair within a marriage? We weren't taught how to fight fair. Matter of fact, we didn't fight fair in the beginning.
We didn't.
We fought.
Right.
But it definitely wasn't fair.
And nothing got resolved.
Nothing got resolved.
I think over the years, we've obviously 33 years later, we better have matured.
Yes.
And so we love to hear each other out. And there's times where I'm like, you know what? Give me some time to process this whole conversation. And then we'll sit back down and have a conversation. And I think, too, as you get older, you should be willing to own your part where you fall short, if you will. Because if not, you are definitely headed to divorce court.
Yeah, that's so good. Because we were married, of course, as teenagers. We were very young. when we were married. So, of course, the communication was not key. And again, no one taught us. We didn't have any premarital counseling. We didn't have anybody in the church that would give us advice. It was more like pray, turn around 3 times, and it'll fix. And which is really sad when I think about that, how we were struggling so badly in church on a regular basis, but not knowing who to go to for counsel. And then, of course, you didn't want to uncover your husband, uncover what you're going through. But we had to learn that just because you have difference of opinions doesn't mean that should cause an argument. We're married. The Bible says we're one flesh, but we're not the same person. So I might see something one way. He'll see something another way. But that doesn't mean that we can't agree to disagree, if you will. And I've learned just to not make things really a big deal. So what if he doesn't think the movie we just watched was great? I thought it was awesome. He doesn't. I'm not going to make that an issue. You know, he likes watching basketball right now. I don't like watching it. He's not mad at me because I won't sit and watch it with him. It's just, you just learn to really not major on the minors. And I think that's part of fighting fair. And the name calling, we don't do that to each other. The cussing each other out, we don't do that to each other. The yelling, the screaming, we had to grow into that.
Right, because those are things, all those things she made mention of, we used to do.
Yes.
But thank God, again, we had to mature. 1 Corinthians 13 and 11 says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Right. So we don't do that. If there is something going on, we really work hard on saying, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Right. And not yell at you about something. I want to talk to you about something.
That's good.
And then I'll bring my issues to the table, or he'll bring his issues to the table. And I can always tell when you want to, because you'll say, hey, your tone changes, like, let me drop something on you. And that's how I know, okay, something must have happened and we need to fix something. And me, I'll sit in my little chair. If I sit in my chair in the bedroom, he knows it's time to talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
that's how you stay healthy. You got to have those conversations. If you really want to build something together, that word build means to establish, to strengthen, and put it back together. If you want to really build, you have to be willing to have those hard conversations.
Man, when's the last argument we had?
Ooh, I can't remember. It's been a minute.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, I can't even remember. Yeah,
I haven't gotten on your nerves lately.
Man, we've been good.
I'm trying to think.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
See what happens when the kids move out?
Yep.
I'm trying to really think of one, just to give an example.
I can't think of it. It's been a while. But let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Can you talk about God's order when it comes to your family and your ministry?
Let's talk about God's order when it comes to our family and ministry. God's order. What do you think?
I think that the wife is supposed to come alongside of her husband, and then the kids right behind her. I think that should be the order. And then the ministry comes in fourth place, I believe. It should be your wife, your children, and then the ministry. Now, I will say 19 years ago when I started Kingdom, the roles kind of reversed, where it was the ministry, her, and the kids. But I'll never forget, between my wife and my 5 kids, they sat me down probably before year 1, because they said, you're spending a lot of time at the church and with the people. And, at that time, I was in a different season. I'm trying to lay foundation, and I'm trying to mentor people, and really trying to get people to catch the heart of the house, if you will, the heartbeat of Kingdom, if you will. But once you guys had that meeting with me, I made a decision, to kind of pivot, if you will, because the meeting was about the lack of balance. Because Proverbs 11:1 says that a false balance is an abomination to God. So I had to learn how to balance being married, being a father, and then the ministry had to come in like fourth place, if you will. And it wasn't easy, but I was able to pull it off. Because back then I would be in the office at 8:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't leave until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Where now I'm here, 9, 10 o'clock, and I'm out the door by 1, no later than 2.
Yeah, and of course we had to grow the ministry to get there.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think it's difficult. I think too a good question is, how do you not let the people in the ministry override your family? It's interesting with us because we've worked together now for the 20 years of our ministry.
Right.
And by the grace of God, we're able to work together, because I know there's couples out there that could never work together.
Right.
But he and I work well together. But we did reach a point in ministry where the people opinions, the people's maybe complaints the people's concerns would kind of override what was really happening, maybe with a situation. And that's really why I stepped down as executive pastor, because my husband would always kind of side with the person without hearing all the facts of what was going on. Because for some reason, first ladies get blamed for a lot of stuff.
True.
We do. We get, because they won't come for the pastor, but they'll definitely come for the pastor's wife. If you're a pastor's wife, you know what I'm talking about. So that was one of the reasons why I stepped back, because I knew at that point within our marriage and ministry that the people's values of opinion was stronger for him than mine. And that was just at the time. It got better. It's not like that now, but at that time, that was a real reality because, again, he's in protective mode. He's trying to protect the baby, and anything, the baby being the ministry, and anything that comes to hurt, interrupt, disrupt that, he's going to be a good shepherd and stop that. And so, and that we had to learn that too within dealing with the people inside the ministry. And one thing we've learned after 20 years, we love the people that have been here. We thank God for the leadership we've had, the leaders we've had here. But guess what? 20 years later, I'm still here. He's still here. And we had to learn that at the end of the day, he and I are going to be the ones that are still together, still here. So I think that's important. One thing that we've learned too. That's good. That, I really am. We're ride or die.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Deuteronomy 32 and 30 says, 1 will put 1,000 to flight, 2, 10,000. So we realize that we're better together. Right. And we've had a lot of people come and go. They do. And we've had people that try to put wedges between us because Mark 3:25 says a house divided won't stand. That's right. People had their opinions, and she's right. There was times where when someone would bring something to my attention, I would side with them over her. Yeah. And it's just because I knew her, and at the time there was some immaturity. You know what I'm saying? But thank God, we've evolved over the years. You got to remember, when we started this church, we were 33 and 32 years old. Gosh, we were kids. Now we're 52 and 51. So we're, almost 20 years later. Yeah. And at the time we were married for 12 years. Right. And now we're 31 years. So we've had some time to grow. Yes. So we've had our growing pains, if you will. We have. But I'm grateful that we've been able to withstand the different tests and whatnot, because we know pastors that started when we started that are no longer married anymore. Right. They're not, forget the ministry, they're not even married anymore. One thing my mentor told me, he said he would always hang the phone up with me, and he would say 2 things: keep your wife and keep your church. That's right. And I've kept my wife for 31 years, and I've kept my church for 19 years. And I plan on keeping both of them. Yep, I'm not going anywhere. Hey, me either. Yep. I guess we both stuck, baby. Yep. Stuck. Trapped, imprisoned, but chained. The blessing is, like I always say, we're not just married, but we're happily married. Yeah. I encourage you that are out there watching, make sure you're happily married. Spend time together, hang out together, make sure you're dating, and things of that nature. We're really good friends. Yeah, and be good friends. Yeah, we're best friends. Communicate. Yeah, I was trying to hug on you in the sanctuary right now, but you wouldn't play back. No, when I get to work, I'm in the zone, trying to get things done. I'm trying to get things done too. Yeah. Yeah. Next question. Can couples have a God-honoring marriage if they were already living together and had sex before marriage? Well, we did. We did for 2 years and 3 months. We definitely were having sex before marriage. 2 years and 3 months. We had a whole child. So before marriage. So what I do, we had a child and had one on the way. Yeah, and we wouldn't fornicate on Saturdays because we had church on Sunday. But all the other days before, and we were in church and it's interesting. People have asked me the question, do you encourage people to live together before they get married? And I said, are you asking Reggie or Pastor Steele? Oh no, because you're going to get 2 different answers. Please. The Reggie in me says, go live together. We'll see if it works, so on and so forth. But there's Pastor Steele in me. I'm like, no, wait till you get married, before you start having sex. Because I got to, being a man of God, I got to give you that advice. But the Reggie in me is like, man, go ahead and, when's the last time you did a walkthrough of a home? Or before you buy a house, you typically do a walkthrough of that home. You know what I'm saying? Even when you buy a car, initially you go and test drive it before you actually invest in it. So that would be my Reggie advice. But Pastor Steele's advice, let's try to be holy. Let's tame our flesh. Let's hang in there. Walk down the aisle and then have sex. Walk down the aisle before you walk through the hallway. Because it's interesting, and the reason why I give that advice, I know 2 incidents that happened where these individuals waited until they got married.
And she loved him because he was so holy and honorable and never initiated sex. She
2
thought,
years.
this is the man of my dreams. He honors my relationship with the Lord. He's waiting till we're married. This is perfect.
And then when they wedding was over, they get to the hotel. My man couldn't get it up. Straight up. And told her, well, I forgot to tell you, I have high blood pressure. And so he should have shared that on the front end,
right?
Of their relationship. Why are you going to wait until you walk down the aisle? And she gave him back his ring. They got that marriage annulled within, I think, the month. Yeah. And she thought he was trying to be all holy and respect her and all this and that. And yeah, it's sad.
I wish you came up with another word.
No, that's the word I want to use.
Okay.
Right there.
Amen. And you know what else? You can fix that issue if that happened. I don't know why they didn't get that fixed.
Well, they got pumps out there now and pills and all kind of other stuff,
Pumps and pills.
The 2 P's, pumps and pills. Yeah, so, and then we know another incident, same thing happened.
Same thing.
Waited a year, didn't have sex, and then he told her after the wedding, when they got to the hotel room, well, I never shared with you, I've got some issues, medical issues down there, and they got an annulment as well.
Wow.
So I believe if you're watching this program, that needs to be a conversation, especially if a gentleman is saying, I respect you, I don't want to have sex with you.
Yeah.
You need to ask him, okay, I appreciate all that, but are you working?
Yeah,
And I'm not talking a 9 to 5.
Right.
That too, though. But are you working? You know what I'm saying?
You got to, rub up on them or something, see what happens. There's ways to find out if that's, because that matters.
It matters.
That matters in marriage.
It matters.
And for you to think a sexless marriage is a God marriage, it absolutely is not.
I agree with you.
I know there's times medically things happen and there's seasons where you can't, but man, you've got to have intimacy within your marriage.
You have to, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, the Bible says it's better to marry than to burn.
Yeah.
And some churches took that text out of the context. They were talking about burning in hell. That's not what that's talking about. That's talking about burning in your flesh. So if you're not, you're not called to singlehood forever. You eventually want to get married because again, it says it's better to marry than to burn. And talking about, of course, burning in your flesh.
So you and I got married. We were living together first, and we got married. And the question was, can God honor that marriage? I believe that it is honorable once you get things right.
Once you get married, Proverbs 18:22 says, "He that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." So
so I think a lot of people cohabitate now before
absolutely
they get married. And I, being a woman of God, would hope that my spiritual daughters would abstain from that. But the reality is, most probably aren't, just like I didn't.
Right.
So I think there was a time where I had really high hopes for people, and now I just realize people have their own struggles, issues, wants, and needs, and hopefully they're working on a process to get it right and to get married. But
right. So I hope that helped you get the Pastor Steele perspective
and
the Reggie perspective and your perspective. So
yes,
like they say, chew on the meat, spit out the bones.
Right. What is the most rewarding thing about being married?
That we can have sex without conviction.
Yes.
Because like I said earlier, for 2 years and 3 months, we would feel bad. Where now these last 31 years, that's been great.
I don't feel bad at all.
Amen. So
I feel bad when it's over.
So it's rewarding to be able to do that, and then just
that's the most rewarding thing.
For a man.
For you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that great.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're that great too.
Yeah, because that keeps a couple.
It does.
That's got to be something. If you don't have chemistry in the bedroom,
yes.
My God,
and
we've seen people personally that we know because they didn't have chemistry in the bedroom and no longer together anymore.
And people think, oh wow, we're married, 31 years together for 33. Something's kept us together besides having fun and telling jokes and spending time together. We definitely enjoy each other's company.
Right.
And it's important that you have that in your marriage.
Absolutely.
I wish churches would talk about it more because God created it for us.
That's right.
Like we're all permitted to do it. We're married. And God's like, go, just do your thing. Mm-hmm. And it really is a blessing that we can love a holy God and be dirty at the same time.
That's what's up.
It's amazing.
Amen.
This is a lot.
Yep. Let's do one more.
Okay, one more question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make a hoe a housewife?
Oh my gosh.
Repeat the question.
Can you make a hoe a housewife?
I actually think you can. Yeah. And I'll give you scripture.
No.
Of course, most of you that are watching know the story of Rahab. She was a prostitute. She was actually a madam because she's the one that hid the spies that came to take the city over. And when she made a deal with them, she said, listen, we've been hearing about you all, and you guys are coming to overthrow us and whatnot. And she said, if I hide you guys, you got to preserve my father's house. And they did that very thing. They put red scarlet over her home. And when they came and destroyed the city, they preserved her home. And then she actually hooked up with one of the Israelites named Salmon, and they had a son named Boaz. Mm-hmm. So literally, you see that situation where she went from being a hoe to a housewife, if you will, because you never hear anything biblically of her doing anything else sideways. Mm-hmm. I personally think she was looking for a career change because she was tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. People mature, people grow up, and the blessing was she hooked up with Salmon and they had Boaz. And if you know anything about Boaz, he was the richest man on the planet at the time. Mm-hmm. So look what she gave birth to.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think that there are some women that are women that become wives, and I believe there's some women that remain concubines. And it's not really by their choice. It's just in them. I know women that can get married and want to be a wife to someone, and I have some women that have no desire to be a wife to anybody. They want to sleep with other men. They want to have relationships with men. They even might want to sleep with married men, but it's not their fault. It's just the concubine in them. Mm. They could be delivered if they want to be, but I do believe there's wives and there's modern day concubines, and usually the concubine doesn't want to change. They enjoy their role, if you will.
It's interesting. I wasn't trying to take the conversation to that depth, but since we're talking, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. I believe that there are modern day concubines, even right now, that they don't have the capacity to be a wife.
Right.
Because to be a wife, that's a whole different assignment, because now we're talking about being submitted to that husband, making sure, dinner's made, house is clean, clothes are washed, and probably even working a job, because we live in a day and time where it takes literally 2 incomes.
Right.
So that's a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And then if you have children, now you got homework involved, and getting them dressed for bed. Yeah. I mean, we had 5 kids in 6 years, 11 months, and 16 days. Mm-hmm. So we went from a family of 2 to a family of 7 overnight, if you will, in less than 7 years.
Right.
So I say all that to say is that I know I married a wife, but there are some women out there that they are just not anointed to be a wife. I'll even give you case in point. I met with 88 women here at our church last year, and what grieved my spirit, and I'm not trying to be negative, is that out of that 88, probably 12 to 15 of them are going to walk down the aisle. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm believing God that all of them are going to walk down the aisle by faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what are the chances of that, especially in the day and time that we live in? You don't see a whole lot of people getting married like they used to, because I personally believe that social media plays a part in that, because I think it creates unrealistic expectations in some cases. And we've said it before on this program, some people are looking for something like the 6-pack, the 6-figure, the 6-footer, where sometimes you might have to be okay with that guy that's 5'7" with a gut that will pay your bills and love you.
Right. I think people, speaking of that, babe, I think a lot of people are single because they choose to be, for that very reason. And I deal with people all the time, single women and men who are not with anybody, because they're looking for their type. And I'm a firm believer that usually your type is not good for you. It might be what you like, but it's not what you need. And so I think single people are out there looking for their type, and God's brought them people that could fulfill, what they need, but it's not what they want.
My God.
And we've argued about this before because he disagrees with me, but I think a lot of people out there are single because you're choosing to be single. There's somebody in your world, you just don't want that to be the one you wake up to.
There's some truth to that. But then you also, on the flip side, you got these men that I personally know, a lot of them aren't trying to wife nobody up.
Well, that's another problem too.
Yeah, they want to do a hit and run,
well,
and want to have their cake and eat it too. So it's just, and we live in a different time, and that's why I'm glad. Somebody asked me would I would want to be 30 again. I said absolutely not. I love that I'm growing old. I'm glad I'm in my 50s. I'm glad that I grew up in the pager/payphone dispensation.
Ooh, thank God there was nothing being recorded.
I'm glad I didn't grow up with Facebook and Instagram and X and all these other TikTok, and I'm so glad that I missed that season.
Yeah, because you'd be on there scrolling.
Right. And probably would have been like, you know what, let me keep my options open.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because back when we were growing up, you met your wife at either church, the club, the mall.
That was it.
School.
Yeah, in person.
No
filters.
Yeah. You know, you had to write down addresses back then on a piece of paper.
And phone numbers.
Phone numbers and get to somebody's house. Where now, we got GPS and every other S. And, you know, we just live in a different day and a time. So God bless this generation, you know.
I don't know. I would hope that there's something morally in a man that wants a wife and a family, though. And I still believe in marriage.
Sure.
But I just think, honestly, judgment begins in the house of the Lord. If you've got people that are leading churches and not married, you're actually giving an example to your congregation that I'm good. I'm not married. I'm still serving God. I'm still doing my thing. And you're really setting an example for your other congregants that marriage is not that important either. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, we live in a day and time, too, where you got to take in consideration that you got men that are gay. They're not looking for a woman.
That's true.
You got men that are in prison.
Yes.
As well. And then you just got some men that ain't worth 2 cents.
Yes.
So I don't want to put it all on the women. Because
Right.
you just got some men that have just not stepped up to the plate. Mm-hmm. They're aging, but they're not maturing.
Wow.
And there's a difference between aging and maturing.
Right.
We think, oh, they're maturing. No, some of these people just aging.
Right.
They're not maturing.
Yeah.
You know, so I know guys that are my age, 52 years old, still want to be 22.
Jesus.
You know what I'm saying?
Or they're 52 and want a 22-year-old on their arm. Mm-hmm. Which I'm thinking, what in the world do you have in common with that?
Like, why do you want to raise somebody now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What is that all about?
Yeah,
so I do want to sit on the point, though, of church leadership choosing not to be married. You don't think that affects the congregation and their view on marriage and relationship?
Well, you know, for some churches it works. I know several single pastors. Yeah.
Sure.
And they're doing great.
But I'm saying, what does that give the congregation as far as relationally? Because I really do believe that we as responsible leaders should be some sort of an example. And when it comes to relationship and, you know.
What I've seen is some of my single pastor friends, what they've done is they've surrounded themselves with other strong couples, you know, with longevity in their marriage to kind of make up for their lack thereof.
Right.
So that's good. But I will say this, I can remember you were out of church for 12 weeks because you had surgery.
Yep.
And after about 2-3 weeks, it was cool. But after that, I felt a void in my church. I felt a void even. I had to do the Christmas party by myself, you know, and I felt such a void not having you by my side to speak into the life of our leaders and to speak into the life of because right after the Christmas party, we had our volunteer party the very next week.
Right.
And for you to not be there for that, I personally felt the void of a first lady not being there.
Right.
You know, so I think to each his own. I've learned this in life too. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
You know, we love pastoring together. We love imparting into people together, and we get a satisfaction out of that. But then you got some that, you know, even a lot of pastors who their wife does not pastor alongside of them.
Sure.
You know, they stay home. They might go to one service and their husband is like, your assignment is when I get home, I need my food to be ready and my bath water to be ran.
Yeah.
And I used to think that was wrong, where years later, I'm like, listen, however your dynamic works, God bless you.
Right.
Because for some dynamics, that's what works for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want their wife with them at work for 8 hours and at the church with them all day.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and
but,
that's cool.
And because there's a level of submission that you have to be in as a wife to be able to work with a man of God, who's your pastor, your husband, and your boss. There's a level of submission. We had a conversation just this morning that we joked about it. We believe some leaders, it would have been a full-fledged argument with what we talked about this morning.
That's right. Yeah.
But because I'm submitted and not weak, I'm a very strong woman, but I'm submitted to my husband. He can say certain things to me that don't offend me. And I even agreed with them, although I don't like the way he said it, but I did agree with them. And that doesn't cause tension within us because I'm submitted to my man of God, my husband, and my boss. So that's why I know some couples can't work together because it's hard to do.
If you notice that's 3 different people she mentioned. I'm her boss, I'm her pastor, and her husband.
Yes.
So that's a lot going on at one time. And for you to be able to, and it takes a wife to be able to discern all that.
Right.
And that's why not every woman is a wife. And just before somebody start throwing me under the bus, let me give you a couple examples in the Bible. Hagar was not a wife.
No.
Matter of fact, Abraham sent her packing with her son Ishmael because he was bullying Isaac. Ishmael was. And when Abraham did not want to do that, but God said, hearken to the voice of your wife.
That's right.
And he sent him packing. Hagar was never a wife. Leah, that whole hiccup in the Bible, where he thought he was sleeping with Rebecca, but was sleeping with Leah.
Yes.
My God.
That had to be a bad morning.
What happens when you think you're sleeping with Beyonce and wake up to Whoopi Goldberg? So at the end of the day, that was the situation because he had a little too many, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, so it is what it is. So not every, and I'll say this, not every man is a husband.
Yeah.
There are some men that do not need to be married. I just recently told one of my friends he's been married twice, and I told him straight up, "You're not a husband. Don't do this a third time."
You don't think he could change?
No.
You don't think that God could change the person or character of somebody?
Obviously God can do, but you have to be willing.
That's right.
And obedient.
You're right.
Because again, we've been given a free will. So we always talk about God this and God that. No, but there's a part that you have to play in order for the hand of God to move. Like I was sharing Sunday, James 4:7, it says, submit yourself unto God. Then it says you can resist the devil and he will flee. So you got to be yielded to God. You got to give in to God. Then you will have the ability to resist low self-esteem, resist insecurity, resist fear, and so on and so forth.
Resist other women.
That part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you can fight that off. But if you're not submitted to God, but you'll go for anything.
What about the man that is like a real alpha male? Because I do believe culturally we're a little different. And meaning that I believe like a man like you're strong, you're a leader, you see things a certain way. What would you tell a person like that who's struggling being faithful and committed to one woman? Because when you see that's the biggest area of contention and within relationships.
Yeah, and we've said it before, it takes the supernatural for a man to not do what's natural.
So what would you tell a man?
Because I believe it's natural to want to step out. And like when I would step out on you, I would tell you, listen, I love you, but I like her. I'm not leaving you. I'm not going nowhere. I knew you were a wife, but the ones that I knew were side chicks, I was out here doing my thing back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it's right, but I think like Exodus 20, verse 5, it says that the sins of your forefathers will visit you even the third and fourth generation. So a lot of times you're fighting your daddy's demon. You're fighting your mama's demon, your grandmama's demon. Look at Rahab. We talked about her earlier, about how she was hit the spies. She eventually, changed her life, praise God. She hooked up with a guy named Salmon, who was an Israelite. They had Boaz, but then Boaz had Obed. Obed had Jesse. Jesse had David. So when you trace David's issues, sin issues, you got to trace them back to his great-grandma.
Right.
And then Solomon ran into the same stuff because he came from Rahab as well. That was his great-grandmother. great grandmother.
My gosh.
So there are different things, demons and satanic and demonic things that's really in our DNA, if you will.
Lord.
Certain things that we were born with. And I like this. Creflo Dollar made a comment years ago, about how the homosexual had made a comment to him and said, I was born like this. And Creflo Dollar said, well, you got to get born again.
Right.
In the spirit. So just, because all of us are born with some things. And
yes.
I'll even, I shared this on the podcast last year. Somebody asked the question, can you be a homosexual and saved? And I said, yes. I said, you're saved, but you're not delivered.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that I believe you did the Romans 10:9. You confessed with your mouth. You believed in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead. Thou shalt be saved.
Right.
That saved you, but then you still got to go through the process of getting delivered. And I believe all of us are in the process of being delivered from something, because we got to get to a place spiritually where we're able to tame our flesh.
That's
if you
right.
will. So
that's right. So let me go backtrack, because you said something. I want to make sure it's clear to the people. You said that when you'd step out on me, you would tell me, I'm not going anywhere. I love you. I like them.
Right.
Did you stay with me because I was willing to always take you back?
No, I stayed with you because I actually loved you. I loved you.
So you
because
left
men,
me.
we can go out and cheat and it's all physical. It's not even emotional. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with your love for me.
Right. And it had nothing to do with you. And it's sad because a lot of times, in some cases, you're not even falling short in that area. It's just us being selfish.
Wow.
Like me, I was being selfish. But you got to remember, my dad had 10 kids by 6 different women.
But
let's talk about it.
No, because you always go back to
that's my
that,
out.
which is
that's real
true.
talk.
But at the same time, you don't excuse the behavior.
I'm not at all. I'm not saying it's right.
Right.
But I'm saying, I believe that it derived from that.
Sure.
Because let's not forget, I was at a club one night and I saw.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand the generational things that happen.
Exactly.
But I just want to make sure that I'm not here 33 years later thinking we're together because you knew I wasn't going anywhere.
No, it wasn't that. Yeah, because and biblically, you had every right to throw the deuces up and be done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But so I wasn't like, oh, she ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
My thing is, I didn't think you would ever, catch me.
Yeah,
You know
he
what
thought
I'm
I'd never
saying?
find out. But you know what? The women always find out. Don't we?
Listen, I done been caught numerous times. But God.
But God. This is good.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, we're still together.
Hey, still together.
33 years later.
We still hanging.
And the reason why we keep things relevant, real, and raw for you all is because who we were then is not who we are now.
Right.
And we love sharing our testimony of, if you will, we believe people are overcome by our words of our testimony. If you're going through something right now and it's difficult and hard, if God could restore our marriage and keep us together, God can do the same for you. He's no respecter of person.
Listen, subscribe, click that button. Listen, catch us next week. We're praying for you. God bless.
God bless.